Oh, good evening, Jackie. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. This time we are doing a rant about a certain topic. Well, let's just say the school debate topic, whether we should have phones in schools or not. And well, this is going to be a deep one, so brace yourself. The whole idea. So now, let's start. The whole idea that whether phones should be banned or not, is nothing new. As technology advances or we get new pieces of technology, we have the same type of debate every single time. Hell, with typewriters and early versions of calculators, with early versions of computers. Hell, the whole idea of the internet as itself, we've had this type of debate. Which is similar to the idea that, well, if I can remember, that the kids always have it better these days, apparently. Supposedly by the older generations. I'm sure we all get tired of that, right? So, that idea has existed for about 200 years, I'd say. At the very least, possibly very much more. As I've mentioned already, we've had these debates for a while. We've had them. Now, we have not advanced or learned from our mistakes, and old habits shows we aren't actually progressing as a society. We're advancing in technology and other types of advancements, sure, like science, maybe AI if we want to go there, medicine maybe, understanding of some technological, maybe historical things. But either way, we as a society and a social speaking part in how we move forward, whether we accept it or not, the cultural level, we don't really advance as much or show progress, as humanity is more hesitant to do so. That's how I see it as. Problem is, okay, people may say, but it's okay to be critical of things. It's okay to have questions. I'm not against that. I say stay curious, always questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One of my favorite quotes. The important thing is to never stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for its existence. A quote by Albert Einstein, which I really much love. But now, as I say, there's a difference between questioning things, questioning new technology, and the idea of limiting not having progress in a society, in education especially. Hell, sometimes I can understand why some people want to stay with traditional old habits. Hell, as someone with autism, I don't really like when my routine is changed. I prefer to have it changed, if ever, on my own terms. So it's an issue there for me. But that's my own experience there. So I can understand where it's coming from. The problem here is the issue is kids, especially in children, will not want to work in a system that's outdated for them, though. Why work in a system that's meant for children in 1995 while being that the year is 2025, almost 2026 now? It doesn't make sense. Hell, it doesn't make sense to always have the media talking about stuff from the 1980s. Like, in every single bit. Like, hell, you can remember it, have it talked about in some areas. Like, as a remembrance, like, hey, this happened, fine. But as that being the only thing we stick to and always be critical of newer ideas to an extent that we can't move forward is setting us backwards as a society. We need to update our systems and we need to advance just like technology, hell. The advancement of technology, hell, I can understand that it is kind of going fast or used to be advancing really fast where it was hard to keep up. I can understand that. Well, currently in the last few years, we haven't seen that be true as much recently. But if you accumulate it over the last few decades, I could see that being a true good argument in some places. Now, on another topic, let's review of this debate topic issue, like how we've always had this similar debate form or moral panic over newer technologies. In the early 20th century, we had typewriters and early calculators, where teachers were worried about kids and supposedly would worried that the kids would rely on them a bit too much on newer technology machines. Lose hand. Some fear that they would lose handwriting skills, or some would say get distracted. Which, let's look at today. Same literally direct, same exact debate, argument. They're getting distracted. We use that excuse for way too many things. Hell, let's go to the 1970s and 80s. Computers in the classroom. The first personal computers and programming lessons brought debates about whether they'd enhance learning or just make kids lazy, or if the computer time would be equitable. Also, not every school could afford one at the time, which, I'll be honest, is a reasonable concern. Also, considering funding for education lately isn't the best. Also, quick diverge or side tangent. Teachers should be paid just as much as doctors. This isn't a debate. If a doctor can save a heart or save someone's life, a teacher makes their life, makes their heart, and shows the passion in the children. They should be paid well for doing that. Now, back to the original debate topic and whether we should ban school phones or not, and cell phones in schools. Sorry for jumbling all over the place. Sorry about that. And parents and teachers argued about how much screen time was healthy, plus fears about addiction and distraction. Same way with computers in classrooms, by the way. I just want to make sure that was about the 70s and 80s about the computers in classrooms. In the 90s, we had the entire internet. Suddenly, the classroom had access to infinite information. People panicked about students cheating or being exposed to bad content. Again, some embraced it as a research tool, like some people do with AI currently. Another debate topic for another video, possibly. I could give my views there. That's your art. I'll look into it. Now, recently, the 2000s to present, the smartphones, tablets, and cell phones in general, similar arguments, just shinier. Distraction, social media, cyberbullying, and kids can't focus are the modern echoes of 1980s fears about video games or 1970s fears about basic programming. Banning phones is basically the modern day version of are these calculators ruining children's brains, or are computers going to rot their minds? History repeats itself. In some areas, not always. I wouldn't say always. It can rhyme. In most circumstances, it rhymes. But there are times where it does repeat. It either repeats, rhymes, or just does something so random that it doesn't make sense. That's why I make the distinction that fiction has to make sense in reality. It doesn't always. That's the distinct difference between two, in my opinion. Every new tech, back to it. Now, the main topic is every new tech gets in more panic before it becomes normalized, I should say. So, overall, should we ban it? Should we ban school phones in school? I'm going to keep saying school phones. That doesn't make sense. Cell phones, I should say, in school. Should we ban them? No. Integrate them. Advance as a society. Plus, not everyone is going to have them. Well, it's 2025. I should rephrase that as a lot of people do have cell phones. I can understand people not using it for the right reason, which, valid concern. Make some changes about that. Find some ways to work around that. But that shouldn't be an excuse to completely ban them. Integrate them and make them useful. Make it worth their time of being at school as well. Right? Overall, as I mentioned earlier in this conversation, or discussion I should say, the kids will not want to work in a system that's outdated for them. Once again, kids will not want to work in a system that is outdated for them. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you next week on Monday once again. Which would be, if you do my math right, the 8th. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye.